Good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome to QuickBooks Labs. The new panel concept is designed to still be the place to learn all about QuickBooks and other accounting software, but with an added bit of extra opportunity for us to get the great minds of the industry to talk about everything that we need to talk about. We will aim to go live within the first week of each month, and at which point we'll hang around these microphones to talk about all of the latest tips, tricks, and tricks for QuickBooks and the world of accounting. And boy, do we have some stuff. In fact, we actually have, well, let's put the applause in there. We have actually some updates to talk about today, so I'm very, very excited. My name is Patrick. I'm the co-host and a chartered accountant, owner of an accounting firm called Boffix, QuickBooks certified trainer and fancy logo, and that QuickBooks chap on the YouTube. And with me is the following. Johann, do you want to go first?
Good afternoon, everyone. Johann Gorey from On Point Accounting, Group Managing Director, QuickBooks Strategic Partner, and often referred to as Mr. QuickBooks himself.
And Mr. LinkedIn now.
And Mr. LinkedIn. Hello to all 11 viewers on LinkedIn at the moment.
Charlie, go for it.
I am Charlie Carner, chartered accountant in West London and often referred to as Sir. No, I'm not.
I mean, QuickBooks chat group owner. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so let's just make sure we all know how this works before we carry on. We have a regular time of 4:30 UK, so why not try and figure out if you want to join us live? If so, you can ask some questions as we're going along, just like we have in the audience already, and keep us honest. But the idea is that if not, we have the podcast that goes live just after this, and we'll go around each and every month of the podcasting service of your choice. So what do we got to talk about today? Well, we've got some QuickBooks Online updates, which I'm very excited about. It's my favorite part of this show. We've got some updates to Advance as well, including the fact it's finally launched. So we'll talk about that. QuickBooks Self-Employed, that doesn't get forgotten about, unfortunately, but that doesn't get forgotten about. That is still there, and we get to talk about that as well. And then finally, we've got some news about QuickBooks Online's Get Connected event. So we'll talk about that. And Charlie's got some extra bits to come in to do with some Chrome extensions, which we think are going to be really useful, called Monk B, and Scott's add-ins. And then finally, we've got a bit of a tasty little subject around the fact that Bright has acquired some more desktop solutions. You figure out exactly what desktop solutions they've acquired now. Okay, let's jump straight into it then. QuickBooks Online, a few tasty updates. First and foremost is the fact that, you know, they introduced the left-hand navigation bar not so long ago, and they seem to not be finished with it yet. So they seem to have some extra bits that they want to talk about, and that's what we're going to talk about now. So if I just get myself all set up properly and share the screen as I need to, I'm going to talk about and see if anyone can spot the subtle difference they've brought in, which for me, I think this is actually quite a nice little difference they've brought, or a nice little extra bit they've brought in. I think it's going to be quite a nice little addition to it, but I want to see if anyone can spot it. So if I bring this in now, just make it full screen. Can anyone say what the difference is there?
Is it the pencils?
Exactly. Well, yeah, the little dots. Yeah. So they've changed the way. So yeah, so the pencils bring this customization in, and then the drag and drop go here. So the old style was you came up with a little like sub menu type thing here. Because one of the things that people really like about this new menu system is the customization option. So you could add bits there, take things away, have this bookmark selection. And actually that bookmark selection became really useful because for especially new clients you're trying to bring in, it gave you an opportunity to almost make them like a workflow. So you could set that they should go into here first, and then here, and then here, and have a little workflow for them. Well, now you've got the opportunity to fully customize that. And I'm right behind it. I think that's a great idea. The idea that we can get things done, business, you can move them around and maybe put payroll up to get things done however you want it. And I think that's going to work quite well. What does everyone think to this then? I'm all up for it, but what's your idea? Charlie, you want to go first?
I think it's great. I mean, I've got to be honest, I haven't seen it on very many of my, in fact, I think I've only seen it on one of my clients' setups so far. Yep. But I think it is a good idea. Whether it's the users themselves want to change it if they're running it themselves, or accountants make it easy for their clients. No, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, definitely. When it comes to which clients it should be on, any brand new client, it'll be there. ready to use. But effectively what it is that if there's any if there's any clients you've already got, then there's a phased result, and they should be pretty much all migrated now. But yeah, see what happens. Johann, what do you think?
I love it. We were actually just discussing just the other day in the team that we'd love to be able to turn certain menus off for clients, like payroll. So we've had a client that's decided, well, payroll's in QuickBooks, I can do payroll, it's really easy. Within a month, they were in trouble because, yes, they can put the numbers in, but they don't understand statutory pays and maternity pay and all this good stuff. So actually just being able to untick payroll for clients so they can't see it and mess with it is really helpful. One of the thoughts we did have would be quite nice in the future is what if we could rename them? So you could call them what you wanted, and that way you can just put them into, literally each client's got their own terminology, I find. So if you could do that, that would be really powerful. But yeah, we've already been benefiting from the bookmarks idea. We've really liked that, like instant bookmarks to the reports those clients really just need to pay attention to. So to be able to drag and drop and untick things, I think it's just customizing that customer's experience even more. And yeah, really, really like it.
Yeah, I think my only criticism is the fact that you kind of alluded to it there, is the fact that you have to be sat with the client to do it, or at least like share a Zoom meeting with them or whatever it's going to be. We can't just go in, set it, and then publish almost their experience.
Right. There is a way around it.
Oh, go for it. Go on.
So we've got an email address that doesn't do anything.
So
every client, we add us as a user, an admin within their each license. Which we can go in and we can see exactly what the clients are seeing, and we can edit this.
Love it.
So, but surely this menu is by user, isn't it? So if the client's got 4 users that log into the same QBO file, do they not each customize their own menu?
Well, we were told originally that's how it was intended to be, but who knows? I mean, they made this is a drastic change to what it was first out there. So it must still kind of change over time. So it's something we'll have to experiment with, isn't it, and have a look. But yeah.
But I mean, if each user has their own menu, then Johann going in and changing it as a different user is surely not going to impact anybody else?
We don't know at the moment, do we? But right. Originally, that's how it wasn't intended, but they could easily have changed that, and like they've introduced this extra bit here. Yeah. But it'd be good to see, good to test actually.
It's quite interesting to see how quickly it's evolving.
Yes.
And we know QuickBooks always evolves based on feedback. So keep sending that feedback in, that accountants want to be able to choose what each person uses without going into the customization side of things like we've got in advanced, and that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing that just occurred to me that's useful with the bookmarks, because one of the issues I have is I tend to create certain reports for clients, and I make them, when you customize and save a customized report, you can choose whether it's just for the firm as an accountant or whether it's available to all, which includes the clients, which is great. The problem is I go in maybe 6 months later and maybe make a small amendment to that report, add an extra column or change something around. That doesn't change for any of my clients that have got the report. All they get is the static version as it was when it was created. So I then share it again, and now they've got 2 versions of the report. They don't know which one to log into. So if the bookmarks simply linked to a report that was, as a dynamic link effectively to however that report was now, that would be great.
That could be a good feature.
Yeah,
that could work quite well. Yeah, no, I can see that. I hope though that with them putting all this effort into the new view, that they definitely don't go away and take our old view away, because I'm not sure I can fully migrate to the new view yet, but I do see it has benefits for newer clients. Definitely,
there's the traditional accountant that doesn't like change.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly. All right. What other news have we got? Well, we have MailChimp starting to appear its maybe ugly head, maybe is that a controversial thing to say, more and more into the file as well. So customers now marketing. Now, remember when marketing first hit, there was a huge uproar in the community about this, about what does this do and everything else and everything that came with it. Personally, I love-hate relationship with MailChimp at the moment. I love what it's trying to do. I just haven't been able to achieved that kind of what it's intended for yet. So it's kind of frustrating me at the moment. And I may have got in trouble with a bit of a GDPR issue that we won't go into on this. But basically, I understand it, and obviously they've bought it. They know that it's, they can see the future of it and everything else, and it needs this deep integration to be able to kind of take that next step. But what do you think? Do you think it's a good move, bad move? What we're saying on it?
I mean, I don't think we're ever going to use it, but I think I can see the long-term value for especially e-commerce customers. But is it too little, too late? Has Shopify already dominated that market? Between Square, Shopify, all those kind of places, are they coming into a flooded market and it's a bit too late? People have already made their choices of platforms. So I don't know what the uptake's going to be. But if this was a couple of years ago before Shopify became a big thing over in the UK, then yeah, maybe it's a good option.
Because it is a very difficult thing to move, isn't it? I don't know if you've ever tried to or advised clients to move or had that opportunity to move, but yeah, moving a online marketplace from one site to another isn't a click of the fingers sort of idea, is it? So yeah, it is difficult.
It's certainly something that it's nice that we as accountants can now advise our startup e-commerce clients, or someone that might be, a traditional retail setting that might be wanting to look at e-commerce. Well, actually, this talks to e-commerce side of things. It does the email marketing and it brings in the financial aspects. Great. So from a starting point of a journey, it's great. Anyone that's already made a commitment, it probably isn't going to be overly swayed by it.
Yeah. Charlie, did you see on the group, did you see the big uproar of it? What was your feeling with the uproar? Were they right or wrong, or how would you say?
I actually didn't see that. I didn't see that discussion, unfortunately. But it was
well, your members were wrong.
I will have a look at it. I will have a look at that. But I mean, look, the power of Intuit. And by the way, I noticed on there, I mean, MailChimp have been advertising on TV for quite a while, but I've noticed recently they say Intuit MailChimp now on the TV ads. I don't know how recent that is, but they're doing that now. I think, with the multi-billion-dollar company that Intuit is, they're clearly going to spend a lot of money in marketing MailChimp. And even if plenty of people already with Shopify and all the rest of it, there are new companies starting up every single day. So I have little doubt that this will succeed. And I think, the more players there are in any of these marketplaces, by and large, the better, because as long as there aren't too many, because they each encourage the other to improve and add new features. So definitely, I suggest it's a good thing. But
and remember that for every client of ours that takes this up in the UK, there's probably another 1,000 in the US. So this is always going to be bigger over there than it is in the UK.
Yeah, without a doubt. And the fact it's in the system itself does mean that they're going to kind of bring that promise of their extra integrations and everything else, and that could be the way where we can kind of bring part and parcel of it. Because again, for us as a practice, we jumped on the chance to use it because we thought, that idea of having that insight into even our customers, who's taking payroll, who's not, and having that ability to just throw that at them was actually really powerful. But yeah, it's we'll see what comes of it going forward. But it's interesting to see that it's in the system, or at least that deep level integration, because they don't tend to put too much emphasis on them normally. When you think like time and stuff, or time, whatever it was called, T-sheets, wasn't it? Didn't really integrate that fully, did they? And it's still not 100% there. There's not kind of that integration.
Which always amazed me, because whenever I went to the States, I went to a few accounting conferences in the States, the Americans were absolutely obsessed with QBO users in America were obsessed with T-sheets. It was always the biggest party at any of the QuickBooks conferences. It was enormous, and yet nobody here is terribly interested in it.
No, it's hard, isn't it? It's almost a hard sell. I have tried to push it, but yeah, it is a tricky one going forward. Two other quick, nice little updates for you as well. So now should be live, especially with NatWest and other leading bank, or not leading banks, but other banks that came through, is the ability to have unlimited connection time. So instead of having that 90-day connection to your bank and having to then re-authenticate every 90 days, we should be able to set it up, have that 90 days, Then you have the tick box say, oh, you are happy to confirm, but frankly, anyone can do that, even the accountants. So that should be good. We just hopefully get to see more and more people rolling this out, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we finally get to see the idea that the bank statements can be imported in as well. That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Oh,
So, yeah.
that's interesting. I wasn't aware that they'd actually launched the ability to bring the bank statements in as a PDF. Is that right? I heard that this was an idea, but
yeah, I mean, I've shown it on stream before. It's there. It does work,
okay.
but it's not live to everyone yet. So
that would
fingers
be
crossed, this is a step in the right direction for it.
I think one of the big problems with it all is it's all dependent on the banks. So like a Starling Bank, for example, who for the last few years we've all been singing chapter and verse for how good it is. It still can't handle bulk payments, where other banks have caught up and taken over on that. And their £7 a month feature involves a CSV file. Yeah. And it's just like, well, hang on, that's where these banks were 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, the banks just need to start actually opening up the functionality that they should be giving us through open banking, really.
Because that's the whole point of open banking, wasn't it? Was to make it so it's one route in, one route out. It's all regulated. Everyone can see it and everyone can trust it. And yeah, so we were supposed to be given all these extra functionalities as a
everyone has the same functionality, etc. But
yeah, that's how they sold it to us.
Yeah,
we shall see. We shall see how it goes. And another quick update as well. You should have got your emails by now, but the VAT, Making Tax Digital, is coming to an end for, well, the non-MTD submissions. So if you do still have clients out there still using non-MTD and you're going through, you know, marking as filed on QuickBooks, you're going to have to think about a solution sooner rather than later. 1st November is in the one in my back of my head, but I could be off on that one.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I think it is. Yeah. Turn it off.
Yes, that's it, isn't it? Yeah, that's when it's over. So yeah, so just make sure everyone's aware of that one, and go from there. And
the more hardline of us would have said they should have turned it off on the 1st of April, but never mind.
Yeah, well, I was even speaking to a PNC today. He had no idea it was coming. So yeah, it's not out there as it should be.
I mean, for end users, this might pose a problem for those that haven't yet signed up for MTD. But for any accountant, this shouldn't be a problem, because if you really cannot get to file it within QuickBooks on MTD for some reason, and I can't think of what reason that might be, but if you can't, you should have plenty of other tax software that will allow you to file an MTD VAT return.
Yeah.
So, you know, whilst it works, you may not be compliant in the sense that your data may not be linked directly to it, unless you can get it to link. You could still stick some numbers into a spreadsheet, link that to your tax software, and so you'd get through the technicalities of the system, albeit you would not be compliant with what MTD technically actually requires. Yeah,
definitely. Awesome. So I've left this news in as a QuickBooks update, but I'm not sure if it's a QuickBooks update or if it's a QuickBooks Advanced update. So let me explain first of all. So you'll see here on my sales section, I've got my overview, all sales, invoices, customers, products, and services, and then right in the middle, a brand new one, subscriptions. Now, I have no idea what their plan is or what's going to happen here. In fact, when I clicked on the button, I got this screen. So yeah, gives us everything we need to know about this new feature, doesn't it?
But obviously, I've been to head office for QuickBooks a couple of times now. There is several people walking around looking like that. So now I know what they're working on.
They're the subscription guys.
Yeah, they're building things.
So yeah, so obviously something's coming. Maybe it's only advanced. Maybe it's going to be in the rest of the product. Who knows? Speculation-wise, they have been talks of a new connection or a new kind of partnership with a company called, what are they called actually? I'll tell you what it's called App Direct, which is supposed to be B2B subscription and give lots and lots of options with there. So possibly it's something to do that. Just speculations. But yeah, it seems exciting, and for accountants, this could be huge. What do you want to? What do you think to that one then, Charlie? Any kind of thoughts or any ideas?
Well, I thought it was something, might have been something different. I'd read about something about subscriptions, but like you, I didn't know exactly what it was. I suspected it was going to be simply a way of managing what you're already paying when you subscribe to something. But since it's in the sales section, if it is indeed a way to send out subscriptions to members every month, or if you've got a membership organization that sends out subscriptions every month or every year, and they can link the ability to take payment, whether it's PayPal or whatever card you want to link it to, and things like that, then that would be fantastic. I mean, I've got a big client who for the last 6 months or so have been using a system called ChargeBee, maybe longer than 6. And I came across them actually because I met them at the cancelled QuickBooks Connect from 2 years ago, which got cancelled the day of COVID. But they were over from various, I think some from the US, some from India, I think. And I had a meeting with them. And it's a very, very powerful system. And it links with QuickBooks, but I've never been able to find anybody that explains the subtleties of some of the links because it wants to do more than I want. So QuickBooks, even if it is in advanced, and I'd be happy if it was in advanced, that's fine. The subscription is not too much if you get in this kind of facility. To manage subscriptions, if it's anything like the basic subscription side that what ChargeBee offers, then that would be fantastic. I can think of a few clients that'd be great for.
Yeah, definitely. And I know it's all speculation here, but come on, Johann, you've got to be excited for your own practice for this one, haven't you? If this is a reimagine of recurring, maybe, something.
I'm just going to say, at what point does a reoccurring invoice become a subscription?
Yeah.
That's
does it give us opportunities to be a bit more, the way we're adding services on, taking services away, that sort of thing?
Definitely. I mean, I've got several business consultant clients, business coach clients, yoga instructors and stuff where, their best solution for a subscription model in QuickBooks is a reoccurring invoice, which is fine. It works.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what plugs
But if
in.
all they're doing is sending out, if they're just sending out a monthly invoice for the same amount for providing business services in the same way that we do to a lot of our clients, I'm not sure. I mean, just the existing recurring invoice within QuickBooks works fine for that. I see it more as the ability for members of some organization or gym club membership or I don't know, you've got a society that takes subscriptions from members every month or every year. If it tracks in when their membership expires, can they log in and change their details, and the members can log in and update their bank, their card details, things like that. That's what I see as being powerful and different.
So here's a thought then. So you take those features that Charlie's just asking for. What powers that? MailChimp's e-commerce.
Yeah. Good point.
Exactly.
So go to my website as a yoga instructor. Not that I do yoga, but as a yoga instructor, go to my website, sign up to one of my monthly or subscriptions through my website, which is powered by MailChimp. That feeds straight into my QuickBooks. It tracks what they subscribe to. It tracks their marketing preferences through MailChimp. We can target who signed up for the yoga retreat weekend out of my subscribers, all that good stuff. So I wonder if it's going to be a feature built in and around MailChimp.
And this particular client has, or this file has MailChimp connected. So you could be onto a winner there. Yeah. Makes sense.
Very good.
Love a bit of
I look forward to that. Maybe they'll talk about it anyway. But,
that, although they're just go back to the drawing board now.
You guessed it. Next.
This $1 million idea about using MailChimp. Brilliant.
Didn't Johann say that?
No. Awesome. So I think this is quite an exciting little update to it, and hopefully we'll see more to come. It's weird how we've not heard any. These are the sort of things where sometimes I'm not allowed to talk about them, but we would at least have an awareness of. This could be just something being worked on in the background that launches one day with excitement. I hope it would be good to see.
Tomorrow morning, because it's been developers left it turned on by mistake.
Yeah. Which isn't the first time I found one of them and got excited. So the other parts that have come through from Advance as well. Oh, let's move on to Advance now. So QuickBooks Advance has finally launched. So bit of a celebration there. That's great to hear. Me and Johann may have been involved in some sort of promotional activity on that one, so keep your eyes peeled on that.
Confirm nor deny.
Yeah, we can't say anything other than that. But the fact that it's finally launched and there's some marketing behind it is good news. Not as much marketing as I was expecting. I don't know if that's just timing. I don't know, because obviously the timing of the launch was very awkward. It was the day that was it the day of the funeral or the day of the passing? It was one of the two, wasn't it? So
it was the Monday after the passing of the
that
Queen.
was it, yeah.
So it got muted and stopped until last week, I think.
So I don't know if that reduced the amount of marketing they wanted to push behind it or not, but yeah, it could just be because they were still doing a bit of a slow burn on it. Some of the features aren't quite there yet, or fully working as intended, so that could become another reason for it.
And I think you have to ask, QuickBooks Advanced is clearly for those bigger businesses.
Yes.
Are those bigger businesses on QuickBooks social media traditional channels of Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok and Instagram? They're probably the decision makers that would look at going, oh, that's an interesting product for my business, probably aren't on those fields. So you're probably looking at press releases. You're probably looking at different channels being utilized that we're perhaps not in.
That is true. Yeah.
So yeah.
No, I do see that, and I think that's a really valid point. Yeah, let's hope that there is a bit more push for it, because I don't know about yourselves, but it's a slow burn to try and get clients interested because they don't know what it is. It's such a blind tide for them. They're like, suddenly, what do you mean QuickBooks Advanced? I was even talking to another practice manager the other day, and they're like, what's QuickBooks Advanced? There's definitely not enough. And they're QuickBooks Pro advisors as well, but that's about that.
I'm still trying to work out MTD VAT, are they? You're about 5 years ahead of them at the moment.
No comment at all. But yes, it is very much a case of we're still trying to get people to understand exactly what this relates to. So we shall see. But that doesn't mean that they've stopped bringing out new features for QuickBooks Advanced, which we're very excited to see. The first feature that came live, and there's a bit of a, well, in my circle, there's a bit of a hullabaloo around it, which was good to see, was the introduction of a feature that's already out in the US and made itself over, which is batch adding. So you think back to your Sage 950 days, if I'm allowed to say that swear word around here, but the idea of being able to batch add multiple transactions at a time has been brought into QuickBooks Online, but not the place that I expected it to be. So in QuickBooks, I'm stalling here because I'm trying to figure out why my advanced expired, but in mine. But in QuickBooks Online, there is the or in the US, in the import options, they don't get as many imports as we do, which is fine. It's they've gone for a different kind of way of doing it, but that's because they've always had this batch actions option as a kind of a fallback. Well, at least they have in the advanced. So it's in their import options. They go from there. In the UK version, the batch actions place for it is just really random, and I don't understand quite why it's in a place. Maybe it's because it's not fully working yet, and there's kind of some bugs there, and they're trying to slowly introduce it. I don't know, but it is an odd one as to why it's not there. I don't think it's going to let me show, but let me just show you the screen that I've got in front of me. So where would you expect to see it? I suppose that's a question I would say.
I think imports is a natural place to think, but yeah, in there where I can import all that data. Well, I suppose I have to manually add it, but onto the batch sheet. But so maybe it's not. I don't know.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? But the new button would be quite useful having it here, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I want to put a new batch import, a new batch thing. Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately,
the power of QuickBooks Labs has spoken.
Unfortunately, it's in this area under the new transaction button and multiple invoices. Not sure why. This also means that there's no multiple bills or expenses yet. Maybe that's something they'll bring later. But at the moment, it's just multiple.
And I can only batch one customer at a time.
No, you can do more. That's why I don't understand why it's here. So I go to create the new one, and I can put different customers if I want to.
Oh wow, that's weird then. That's strange to put it there.
Even though I've gone into a customer folder Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's weird.
Again,
But then do you
feel
fill
like
this
it's trying
in?
to hide it.
Do you fill this in manually, or can you upload a CSV?
Yeah, this is fully manual, so you'd have to go through
Right.
same with your customer is, and there is
Right.
some for us power users. There's a nice little shortcut button, so we got some shortcuts to use as well. So you can quickly get this information in. Not that the shortcuts work very well, but they're there. And then there's the option to bring in custom fields, and we've got options to say what you want as your information there. Coming soon, we've got CIS deposit, multi-currency discounts, and bundles that are coming soon as well. So yeah, I actually really like it. I think it's a great little feature that could be quite useful for certain clients. I've definitely got clients that would make a lot of benefit out of this, and could be the one and only reason they need to jump over to QuickBooks Advanced. To be honest with you, it's just weird that it's sat under new customer or new transaction customers.
It's going to make adding, like moving people from like a Xero or a Sage product into QuickBooks even easier, because we can list all of our invoices that are outstanding and stuff that we'd normally have to import and stuff. We can list it on here if we needed to.
That opening balances and things like that. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yeah, I can see a use case there. It's a shame it's only in advance, isn't it? I suppose that's where you kind of, but then for those advanced ones, you want to be more, on the ball when it comes to bringing this data in. So yeah, no, I like it.
Is there a limit to how many I can list on there?
I mean, it says 30, but I believe you can go further than that. I've not tried it, but I believe you can. Oh, maybe it is only 30. Ooh.
Then it doesn't matter, because once you save that, you can then create a new one, presumably.
True.
Yeah.
And to be fair, once I got past 5, it was getting a bit glitchy anyway, so you might want to just go much further than that.
Can't see why it didn't.
Yeah, but it's the beta of it, isn't it? It's first kind of brought back and sort of thing. So we can see, and the fact that they've already thought about getting paid faster with online payments. No go cardless, though. No opportunity to bring that in. Obviously, no Cresco, unfortunately, but we can but hope.
Just keep praying and pushing for it.
Yeah, keep mentioning it every so often. It might get there. But yeah, it's a different take, isn't it? And again, it is very much the Sage Line 50 type of mentality, isn't it? What they're used to. So I can see definitely all the Sage 200s and whichever Sage they use, but it gives them that opportunity.
I think what we have to accept as we are non-Sage users, full stop.
Yeah.
Never use Sage in my practice and never will. I'm sorry to Chris, who, nice bow tie, but I'm never going to use Sage. But let's face it, we're trying to move someone from one product to another is a real challenge in itself to encourage that change.
Yeah.
So at the moment, we then have to encourage the change of our working ways as well as a change of a new product. So by reducing those pain points of, look, this is how you enter it into Sage. We've got that availability here, but this is probably a better way of instead of doing it that way. It just helps iron out some of those bits of resistance of the change of softwares.
Yeah, 100%. And you can see that's where they've kind of gone with, isn't it, with this one, which makes a lot of sense. No, I like it. And I think as well, like this also gives us opportunities to see what else they can flex with this now, because now they've built it for this. Well, how do they kind of expand it on other aspects of it? Is there other ways they can bring this in to make our life easier?
How much of this is auto-populate? So you've got test customer here. If you had an email next to that test customer in the custom folder, would that pull through?
It would bring through. Yeah. That comes through. I've tested that bit. It seems to remember the terms and stuff like that and things like that. So no, I think it will work quite well. And I was dubious at first. I thought it could only have one product and service in, but it is clever enough that you can have multiple product service. And it will just kind of create a subline for you and bring that in. So no, I like it.
Nice.
And to put the custom fields in. So, which is one of the new features of QuickBooks Online Advanced. Speaking of new features for QuickBooks Online Advanced, if I was to go over to reports and generate a report, profit and loss will do for this one, and I go down, drop down what options I have for exporting, you will notice we now have Google Sheets ready and waiting to go. and it works as you expect. You click the button, opens up Google Sheets, and you can, collaborate in real time, as it says. It works fine. It works great. My one bit that I'm kind of gutted about is that it exports it. And maybe I'm asking for too much here, but it exports it as a one single file that's never going to get updated again. So then if you want to create another file, then you'd have to export it again. It's not one of these fancy linked and it's always updating solutions. Right. Maybe that's too much to ask for, but
I've got something to say about that shortly, Aaron.
I can imagine. Yeah. But there are solutions out there that does it. So it would have been, we don't want to lose those functionalities for the others, but this is only QuickBooks Advances in it, or is it? Yeah, it's only QuickBooks Advances. Yeah. So yeah, it is kind of one of those things where it goes. And my other bugbear on it is that it will just randomly chuck that file somewhere in your Google Drive, which for someone like me, bit of OCD, I'm like every now and again, what's this file mean? And it's not in the right place, etc. But I think with those kind of criticisms aside, does exactly what it does on the tin. Gives you another export option. Is that too much to worry about it? I don't know. What's your guys' thoughts on it?
I think we just need to put it back into the context of it's new. It's QuickBooks Advanced is new. We've already seen improvements since it kind of soft launched back in July. We're seeing new features. So if this is the starting point, who knows what the end goal is and the roadmap for that little feature is, because they've all got their own little roadmaps. So yeah, maybe backwards and forwards live updates and stuff is a thing in the future. We just don't know, do we? And if it is, that'd be fantastic.
I suppose this is another tick box for Xero versus QuickBooks, isn't it? Another feature parity. It's another one where, what QuickBooks can do, Xero can do sort of mentality. So there is that point to it. Would you ever use it, Charlie? Is this sort of thing? Do you like Google Sheets?
I'm a Microsoft fan. So whilst I love Google for searching and I use Chrome for my browser and all the rest of it, when it comes to, I've got Microsoft Office 365. So if I want online versions of that comes with it in, SharePoint and OneNote and OneDrive and all the rest of it. So I much prefer that. But a lot of clients use Google Sheets. I think it's very sensible to add this. It does. I mean, you're right that at the moment it seems to only be in QBO Advanced. I can't see why that should not be in the standard versions, in simple style essential plus, because it's not like it's not the sort of feature that one would pay extra. It's not like some of the other things, batch bulk invoices and multiple user permissions and all that kind of stuff. Those you can very clearly see as for a bigger business, but a tiny little business might want to put this into Google Sheets, and it's it would seem maybe they're just testing it on Advanced first because it's a smaller user base, and then roll it out. But yeah,
I could be being stereotypical here, but I suppose smaller businesses are more likely to use Google Sheets over an Excel as well. Personally,
I think you're right.
I read Excel and Google Sheets. I try and do it all in the software. But if you've got to use a solution, then I know most of my smaller businesses probably have a Google Sheet account because it comes with their Gmail email rather than a Microsoft account. So
price point's more attractive for them, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's got much more powerful links, although Excel is definitely catching up from what I understand. Google were a bit ahead of the game in a lot of places. So yeah, let's hope this one does go down
to the
into other products.
Yeah.
But how far down do you want it go? I think I'm starting to get the segue bit now. So how far down do you want? Do you want to go all the way to QuickBooks Self-Employed? Because if so, I've got some news about QuickBooks Self-Employed for you. I know a couple of people in this community or this chat aren't exactly excited about QuickBooks Self-Employed, but it still is there, and it's been told that it's going to be around for time to come. And there is quite a big change that's happened as well within QuickBooks Self-Employed, which I thought would be worthwhile having a conversation about. So if I bring it up on screen, when you go to set up QuickBooks Online, you get QuickBooks Self-Employed. You are sometimes, and I've only been able to get this once, but you're sometimes presented with this screen. So their new landlord section, their new landlord area of it. Now, maybe I'm kind of being a bit too negative on this, but from what I would expect, I can't imagine too much is changing other than category names and things like that. For me, landlords, there is quite a bit of extra information that we need to go through, or extra information we need to bring into to be able to make this kind of work. If you look at the likes of Hammock and what they're doing as an example. But yeah, what do you guys think? Is this where you expected it to be?
If you're a landlord with one property, yeah, okay, self-employed is fine. If you're a landlord with multiple properties and you want to track your expenses and your income to each property, then you're going to start needing custom fields or locations or tags, all stuff that we've got in Simple Start upwards.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would be inclined, if a client came to me and said, I want to use QuickBooks, I've got 2 properties. Is that right? How much detail do you want to track? It would probably always go straight to a Simple Start.
Yeah.
After I've pitched Hammock.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Just because Hammock's just purpose built for landlords, and
agreed.
The features it's got in there, and then linked straight to Zoopla, so you can see profit and gains, and it's just an incredible bit of kit. That I don't think Sage, Xero, or QuickBooks or anyone else will get very close to at the moment.
They're not interested either. It's not.
No, Hammock have got a niche, and it's really well done for that niche.
Yeah,
definitely, 100%. What about you, Charlie? Do you think QuickBooks Self-Employed is a good fit for it? What do you think?
No, well, I mean, look, I understand why they've got the QuickBooks QBSE. It's a simple product that they can sell to hundreds of thousands of people, and with MTD coming, fine. I would never recommend it to a client, because I'm going to want, if they want an accountant involved, then I'm going to need features that QBSE doesn't offer. And until they offer an upgrade path from QBSE to QBO, if they did that, if there was a direct upgrade, not send it off to Intuit to make, but if it was as simple as moving from Essentials to Plus, you just click a button and pay some more money, then yeah, I'd have no problem starting people off on QBSE. But since at the moment it is a completely separate product, I wouldn't touch it. But I do understand why they're doing it. I just think the danger is that people start to get a little bit too big. They can't move over. So they get an accountant and they go, well, we need to move over to something. Let's move you to Xero.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, it's a really good tool for testing new clients. So literally, a prospective client rang me a few months ago and was asking for do I get QuickBooks? Do I get this? I'm not quite ready for an accountant, but I'll be in touch. So I told them, look, go get QuickBooks, because of your plans and because you've got all this van and stuff. What you need is QuickBooks Simple or Essentials or Plus, but Simple Start would be fine for now. Oh, okay. Rang me the other day. Which QuickBooks did you get in the end? Oh, the self-employed one. It was cheaper. We're full.
Yeah. We're not taking clients on at the moment.
No, that's it. Like, all of a sudden, you've just told me you're going for the cheapest product, regardless of functionality. That's not the kind.
And you're not listening. And you're not listening to my advice.
Exactly. You're not taking on the expert advice. So that's not the kind of client we're looking for. But I think it's got its place, like Charlie said. It is a bit of a gateway drug to accounting software. Like, it gets you in at the lower level, and then you realise you need to be bigger and better, and you start working your way up the ranks. But the easiest thing that we could have as accountants is that ability just to go upgrade.
Yeah.
We can do it with Plus to Advanced. Like, that came straight away. So let's do that with this.
So you're saying it's a bit of a game changer then, and it probably something that should definitely be looked at. Well, I don't know if you've been reading the notes, but what about if it was an option and there was a way of doing it, but we just don't have it in the UK yet? So if I don't think the sound's going to come through, but let me just kind of scrub through what this is doing. Let me just mute it. But the idea is this is exactly what we're asking for. This is how you can upgrade your QuickBooks Self-Employed to QuickBooks.
But why do I still need to migrate my data?
Well, you have to migrate your data. That because it is two separate software.
I know.
They've never given us that option, though, have they?
Rebuild it on the same software platform and just launch it and
We
relaunch it.
I generally thought that's what they were going to do. I thought,
Yeah.
tinfoil hat. I thought that's exactly what they were going to do. They were just going to bin it, and it was going to come into basically a boiled down version of Simple Start. But by the looks of it, it's over in America. It has the ability to be able to export through. So,
is this the same principle as when we create a new license at the moment in the UK? We can say, "Oh, I've had QuickBooks Desktop, and I want to import that data."
yes, exactly right. Yeah, it's that sort of mentality. But at least we have that now, where we've never had it before, have we? So, it gives us the opportunity to bring it through. When it comes to UK, who knows? But the fact that there is that functionality there, and finally they're talking to one another, gives us hope, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a step in the right direction. It's still not a tick on a upgrade and pay an extra couple of quid for the rest of this month job.
No, not at all. No. But yeah, so maybe we'll get this functionality. Maybe this is something that's coming. I don't know. But yeah, it seems like it just works and just brings the information in and everything just comes through. So yeah, it looks clean, looks tidy. So let's hope that's something. Because I imagine that the pressure of this was MTD anyway. So but yeah, if they're gonna bring some form of MTD into QuickBooks Self-Employed, then we won't have this problem, will we? It's all good to go. So yeah, we shall see how that goes and keep an eye on that one, because if that does come to UK again, I think that is a bit of a game changer for us, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Going forward. All right. One little other YouTube video that took my eye when I saw it, because
was it one of you?
Right, yeah, no. Was their commerce accounting in the US as well. So from what I can tell, they're taking the OneSAS connection, and they're building it much more integrated and cleaner into QuickBooks Online. So if we just quickly show you this bit here, they call it commerce accounting, and they're actually having it inside QuickBooks itself. So the ability to click on the connect and go from there, because as powerful as OneSAS is and great that it works, it is really daunting for people who have to leave QuickBooks to go into it. But the idea is that there's a new commerce option in here, which maybe is the that MailChimp link that we've talked about before, and it's bringing the data in a lot cleaner. So this could only come soon, can't come soon enough. Again, we don't know if it could be an advanced feature only or however it's going to be. We're getting this data in, looking as clean and as tidy as this would just be an absolute dream, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we're currently trying to do a VAT return for a client where A2X has pulled in the same data 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
We're having to do a huge cleanup because of it. So yeah, any tools that can help streamline e-commerce and do it reliably has just got to be a bonus. Yeah,
and a lot of clients expect it as well. Like they're finding it very confused why they've got to go and download this software to put it on there, to put it through and bring it on. So the ability to bring it in here, and it was 2 seconds worth on here, but just having this area there, if I can pause at the right time, commerce. It just makes sense, doesn't it? Having an area there that we can bring that in and having that word payouts there, it's just it's huge and such a headache for people to kind of get their heads around. So we just need this in. What do you think, Charlie?
Oh, this can't come soon enough. The ability to connect to Shopify. I'm not sure I've got any clients to sell on Amazon, but certainly Shopify. And what did you say it does at the moment? Is it Shopify, eBay, and Amazon? Is that
I'm going to go by this video. I've never got a chance to play on it, but Shopify, Amazon, eBay.
Yeah. I mean, that's great. I mean, Shopify in particular, fantastic. So I'd love that to come to the UK.
Yeah. I mean, it's not. I can't find it in the US either, so I don't know what. This is definitely an eBay YouTube channel, so I don't think I've made this up, and I don't think this is someone spoofing us and we fell for it. But I can't find it in the US. But I don't have that many options to look in the US. So but it is can't come soon enough, and hopefully, fingers crossed, it is there. I've got the same video, but for Shopify as well, but it just goes through and shows you pretty much exactly the same, to be honest. So it's just clicking Shopify instead and bringing that information in. So bring it into the software. We really, this could be an absolute game changer. And again, this is where you kind of comparing yourself to your Xeros and and everything else, none of those have gone down this route of having it so embedded in theirs like that. So I think this is a great way of doing it. Awesome. I think that's it for my updates for QuickBooks itself. But Charlie, do you want to go and talk about your little finds that you've had, and when we can talk about that one, and then we'll go back to QuickBooks Connect and the Bright deal after that.
Well, I found two nice little add-ins in the last couple of weeks, last 2-3 weeks. The first one I came across is a Chrome extension. So it's if you use Chrome or Edge, which both fundamentally use the same underlying browser technology, then you just add an extension. It's called Monkbe, Monkbe, created by a guy called Mark Coram in the States. And what it does is it adds a few features. So when you're on the QuickBooks site, the extension just sits in Chrome. When you're on the QuickBooks site, it adds a few little features, and I won't talk about them all. There's about 8 or 9 different features, and he's adding more all the time. But the two that I particularly like and that I've been using, one is a feature that he calls Lock Product Change. So what that does is, if, for example, you are on a sales invoice, let's say you created a sales invoice, you've picked one of your product codes, service codes, and you then entered a load of data in the description field. Maybe you've saved that as a draft invoice, and you go back in and you realize actually you should have used a different service code. What this will do is it adds a little icon on that row with a little image of a padlock, and you click that padlock and you can change the product code, service code, and the description text will remain the same.
Instead of disappearing like it does.
Well, exactly. Brilliant. Because what normally what QuickBooks would do is it says, well, if you use a different product code, let's put in the default text for that code, or if there is no default text, let's just blank it. So what this does, the value
say as well? Can you lock the value?
The value, yes, I think it does. I can't remember. I think it does. I think it does. I think it locks the whole line.
Yeah. Awesome.
But that's a very nice feature. I mean, I'd like to see that elsewhere. I did mention when I discovered this tool and played around with it for a while, I then got in contact with Mark and had a very nice chat with him last week. And one of the things I said, what would be nice as well, would be when you change a nominal code. So let's say on a bill or an expense that you've coded directly to a nominal code. But if you change the nominal code, lock it so it doesn't change the VAT, for example, which I find infuriating. You've created a transaction, everything is correct, but you just want to change the category it goes to. The VAT isn't going to change just because you've moved from one category to another, no matter what the default VAT code is for that other category. Definitely. And it changes it. It drives me insane with QuickBooks.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
So that's the other one that I quite like is what he calls audit log escape. What happens there if you're looking at a transaction and you click the audit trail button at the bottom of the screen, when you try to go back, you end up in an endless loop that goes back and forth, and you have to just click away and go somewhere else and then work your way back. What this does, it adds an extra button at the top of the screen, and it says go back. I can't remember what the wording is, but you get a little orange button that says go back to where you were. And I mean, clearly what he's done is he in the browser, it remembers 2 screens earlier for you. So it's not just going back one screen, which then loops. It jumps back 2 or possibly 3 screens for you automatically. So it's actually a very useful little feature. And he's got a few others in there. And I mean, the way people can find that, I've got a note of how they find it. So if you're in Chrome, for example, you just go to the button in the settings menu at the top and find extensions and look for Monkbe, Monkbe. Have a play with it. It's a very useful little feature.
Is that chargeable?
No, the basic features are all free. There are at the moment there's I think 1 or 2 features that he asks for additional payment for. I don't know how much it is because they were features I didn't particularly need. But all the basic features and the 2 that I've just described are completely free. And it's a very, very nice little feature. And he's adding more, and if you've got if anybody watching this has got any ideas and wants to suggest any more, contact Mark directly or contact me if you're in my Facebook group. Drop a message to me because I can then ask if other people find that useful, and I can go back to Mark and say, hey, we've got 30 people would love this. And he's he's just a bit of a fan of developing this stuff, and he will no doubt create something if he's able to in the software.
Love it.
So that's the
Awesome.
first thing I found, and then
I've
the
just put the
second
name
one.
in the thing there if anyone wants it. Cool.
And just to remind people, so that it's built for Chrome, but because Microsoft Edge uses the Chromium engine underneath, you should be able to get it in Edge as well. But it won't work on Safari or Firefox or whatever. And then the other one is a thing called Scott's Add-ins. And what that is a paid piece of software. And what that does is, if anybody uses, let's say, if anybody uses VT, the accounting software VT for accounts production and filing taxes and so on, what that does is it works on your desktop. It adds an extra feature into Excel. So you open Excel in the normal way on your desktop, and if you've paid your VT subscription, then it adds a bunch of extra buttons into Excel. Well, Scott's Add-ins does exactly the same thing, but the buttons that it adds in are buttons that have live links to the API in QuickBooks.
Brilliant.
So you click the thing, I want to add this particular file or that particular file, in the same way that you add any other app in QuickBooks, but you're doing it in Excel at this point. And then it creates live feeds directly in to QuickBooks data. So what that means is you work completely in Excel. So once you've connected it, you can work completely in Excel. And as well as having all of the normal Excel functionality for adding and multiplying and grouping and whatever you want, you can put in formulae that bring in nominal codes, values, dates, ranges, values for a particular range, whatever you want. So you can create the type of reports you want directly in Excel with all of that functionality, and it's a live link. So going back to what you were referring to earlier, Aaron, you were talking about sending reports to clients and to Google Sheets. You could do this in Scott's Add-ins, albeit it's paid for software. And then it's live. You could send that to clients and well, you could do two things. You could either create the thing yourself. I mean, one of the options would be to use this software for clients to create very complex reports that have all sorts of data from all sorts of different places within QuickBooks in one report. And then you can click a button in the software that strips out all the add-in buttons and just keeps the data as it is. Then you can send it to a client, so the client doesn't know you've used clever software. They just think you spent hours creating this hugely complex report. And that could be a chargeable service you give to your clients because you're charging for the time it's taking to set the thing up. And then each month when you send an update on that report, you just go into your standard report, click the update button. A few seconds later, you've got the updated report. Strip out the link and send it to your client. So that's one way of doing it. Or you could give the client the live the file. They need a subscription, of course, and then they can look at the data in real time. It's really powerful.
Because for us, we use a similar sort of idea, but it's with GA.com on LiveFlow. They're called two different software, but this is for Google. So same, exactly what you're saying, but this is for Google Sheets as opposed to Excel. And the opportunities there are endless. Like we have it for consolidation because it's so simple. Then you've got multiple companies coming in, and then you can consolidate and you can have your formulas and everything's all great. But also internally for BotFix, we now survive off that because all of our task management solutions and everything we built are all based around live data of what invoices. So if we've sent an invoice out to a client and we've said that we're doing bookkeeping for them, well, we want our task management to reflect that and so we do the bookkeeping. But if we take bookkeeping off for a month, we don't want to be doing the bookkeeping for them. So having that live data can be so invaluable. And when you start seeing that and start building kind of solutions and stuff for clients and stuff, it's really powerful. So yeah, I'm all up for it. And the fact it's in Excel means I think people are more comfortable, aren't they, than Google Sheets.
But the other nice thing about it is that in one, if you're an accountant, for example, and let's say you've connected all your clients to it, in one Excel sheet, you can link all your clients into one sheet. Then it's not only they're not have to be in different files, they can be on one page. So for example, you could have a report for you as the accountant that has a bunch of KPIs for all your clients or the clients you're particularly monitoring. And each day you just open up this sheet and there's your KPIs. Maybe it'll automatically highlight, any that where debtor days are too long or, the bank balances got too low or something like that. Obviously, it's reliant on the QuickBooks data being up to date, but at least this is a clue that it's something that you need to look at without having to go into each QuickBooks file and look at it. They're all sitting there on one screen together. So it's really, really useful. I mean, it's not cheap. I can't remember, it's $20 or $30 a month per
Yeah, I
company
think
you
that's
connect it to.
equivalent to the Google Sheets one. So yeah, that's about.
Yeah, I mean, there's discounts if you have, if you have multiple licenses. It may come down as cheap as $10 or $15 a month. I'm not sure, but it is very, very powerful, and for the right type of clients, it's absolutely worth the price.
Love it. Awesome. Yeah, no, those sort of features that we want to bring in, and hopefully, well, do we want QuickBooks to build their own so it comes in and ruin these sort of competition? I don't know, but yeah, it is definitely something that when you start to think about how powerful it can be, I'm all up for it, and there's some really good solutions you can build in for it going forward. Cool. Nice one. Good work there. Awesome. Right. So we've got 2 more pieces because I know we're running out of time here. So let's just quickly go through them. Bright acquires more desktop solutions. So, not only did they make sure that they've got the desktop payroll, but now they've got the desktop accounting solution as well. So announced today they have acquired BTC, which I kind of half-heartedly looked at, but it was always a case of more the charity side of things that kind of took my eye than anything else. It seemed like, adequate piece of software. I don't know many accounting firms that use them. I don't know if it's just because it's a regional thing or something. I don't know. But I imagine it does everything it says on the tin. It's got accounts production, tax solution, corporation tax. So it's going directly for there as well. And interestingly, a practice management side as well, which you would have thought accounting manager kind of just destroys all of that kind of what that can do. I'm pretty confident accounting manager can do better, which also incidentally have gone or lost their green today. They're now not green anymore, are they? So they don't quite go as nicely with my QuickBooks logo anymore, but that's one for another conversation. But yeah, so they've acquired that. So I think BrightPay, other than the desktop issue, which we can kind of come to, got quite a nice little strong little setup there, haven't they? I mean, that's quite a formidable little ecosystem. Johann, you want to go first? What's your thoughts on this one?
I mean, BTC have got a cloud-based product coming soon. So them and BrightPay are going to get on famously well because they've had a cloud-based product coming soon for years. And yeah, I mean, even Sage knows that you have to buy cloud software, not desktop. They've learned that bit. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting setup, isn't it? What have they got? BrightPay, accountancy manager that's now had its green removed. BTC, haven't they got Surf Accounting as well?
Yeah, but that's not quite UK based as it is.
Right.
Is it Australian or something like that?
Okay. So yeah, they're obviously collecting things. I'd argue I'm not convinced taking a desktop piece of software and turning it into a cloud-based piece of software is a cost-effective or a achievable thing. I mean, tax calc, still desktop-based software. No matter how much they tell me it's a cloud-based software, it's desktop software.
Yeah.
Iris
will never be anything else.
Desktop software. Whether it links to something in the internet or not doesn't matter. Yeah. It's desktop-based software. I can't access it through a web browser on my iPad or my phone. It is a desktop-based software, and we need to be very clear about that. It's a real bone of contention of mine is when these desktop softwares say, "Oh, we link to the cloud, so we're cloud-based." It's like, no, you're not. You've just got a folder stored somewhere in OneDrive, in effect. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Would I, if I was running Bright, would I want to be buying desktop-based softwares to convert? Probably not. But let's see what they can do. BrightPay in itself is a good product, if not cloud-based.
Yes. Yeah.
BTC, from anyone I've ever spoken to about BTC, they've always said it's a good product, does its job on the tin. Accountancy Manager, we all know it's a good product, and yeah, it's interesting. We'll see what their long-term plan is. I think that's the thing, isn't it? None of us really know what their long-term vision is there. I can only assume that they want a full suite of products like Sage are looking to have this Sage cloud accounting thing where you're going to have your practice management, your document capture, your Go proposals of the world all in one place. And we're going to have a Sage suite. We're going to have a QuickBooks suite. We're going to have a Bright suite, and
we've got Iris Practice Essentials as well, which is
Iris Practice, because they've got
rebranded now, isn't it? Whatever it's called, but yes, you're right,
yeah. So yeah, I imagine they've got the same roadmap and vision. I just wonder how much of a handicap they're giving themselves to start from a desktop base. But yeah.
I mean, it's interesting you say that they'll go down the full suite. So do you reckon that there's potential then that they're looking to acquire some sort of, a bookkeeping solution? So I don't think they can afford QuickBooks quite yet.
Quite.
But is that their end goal? Are they going to cheeky bid for speculating but zero or something like that, or or one of the other ones? Is that what their end goal is, you reckon?
Oh, they're not even big enough for that.
No,
They're
I
nowhere
mean,
near big enough to even acquire zero. Nowhere near.
Yeah.
like, I think the thing is, it seems to be the direction the whole market's going in. Iris, Sage, QuickBooks, Xero, they're all trying to go for the whole suite. Numisma, they're trying to do it all in one.
Yes.
Like, it's obviously the direction the market looks like it's going to go in. They obviously want us to be an all-inclusive, I log into one place and I've got it all there. And I like that. I'm a huge advocate for that, rather than having loads of different logins, which does my head in, especially once you start putting two-factor authentication on them.
And if you think about the Sage idea, like the idea is you onboard a client through Go Cardless, they're already in your Sage system, GoProposal, sorry, yeah. They're already in there. You tick a box to what version of Sage they want, and you're off to the races. You're done, aren't you? Like the theory behind it could be wonderful for accounting practice, can't it?
Yeah, I think the idea is there. Whether anyone's really there yet, I don't know. Does Bright need to buy a GoProposal / Ignition type thing? Well, no, because Accountancy Manager's kind of got the foundations of it there. Aaron pulls some funny looks now because he knows more than anyone else apparently. But yeah, it's another competitor on the suites side of things. Are they ever going to rival the rest of the suite softwares? I don't know. They might always be the 5th or 6th in the industry, but if it was just a Sage suite or a QuickBooks suite available, where's the motivation, competition, and inspiration to outdevelop each other and improve the overall customer experience and to control the market prices? There isn't any. So yeah, let's see what happens. But I'm not running around and heading to Ireland to sign anything.
I get it. I think for me, like selfishly for me, my only concern is that means that the development of Accounting Manager, which as a practice we absolutely depend on now. We've gone to that part where it is probably our most important piece of software other than QuickBooks. It is that important to us. That means their development is going to be the integration with the rest of the BrightPay ecosystem. It's not going to be what happens outside of BrightPay, which is, for me, that's kind of frustrating because there's a lot of potential there. If we can get a practice management solution that you file a set of accounts out and it updates your practice management solution that those set of accounts are done, you're on to a winner, aren't you? That's the golden goose. That's what we're all chasing for. So yeah, I was,
there's a backwards way of doing that, but
yeah. I mean,
AM has not got it, but what you can do, because I've just seen it in some software, and I'll tote it now. There's a new practice management software called Client Engager.
Okay, yeah.
Built by Andy Wainwright at Wainwrights and Co. Accountants in Manchester.
Yeah,
really good. We're testing it and rolling it out basically. What I really love, it's a really tiny little thing, but I'll tell you what, it's going to cover our backs because a few years ago we had this issue. So a few years ago, while using TaxCalc, we hit submit to accounts to Company's House, and we got notification that from tax filer it's been filed. TaxCalc, sorry, it's been filed. Cool. So we go into Accountancy Manager, we completed the job. Client Engager won't let you complete it unless it verifies that information at Company's House.
Perfect. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, bulletproof.
Yeah.
So there is ways of doing that, and without having to worry about
maybe that is the way.
But
because you've taken the next step, you've got HMRC, haven't you? And you could just go through that. If it's appeared on HMRC, that's when it's ticked, and that's when it's done.
On their API.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's an interesting acquisition. It definitely wasn't what we was expecting, because I think same as you, I thought Surf was their accounts production software. They were just going to build that up.
Can you do bookkeeping in Surf Accounting? I've never really looked at Surf Accounting because it's not a UK-based one.
No, exactly. Yeah, it's Australian.
Maybe that is their bookkeeping software, and then that feeds into BTC. Who knows?
Yeah. That is.
But I'm not sure that if Bright are building a suite, they don't necessarily have to have a bookkeeping
I think you
solution
do.
in there because it's well, I mean, the Iris suite, for example, and the old MYOB suite and CCH and digital, all those in the past, what they were focusing on was, yeah, they might have had some accounting stuff in the back, but it wasn't essential. What they were focusing on was what the practice needs as distinct from the client. So as long as it links to the bookkeeping solution, has a good integration.
Yeah, but
You want to be handling accounting production, tax production, practice management, onboarding, MLR, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Why am I bothering linking BrightPay and BTC to QuickBooks when QuickBooks has already got its own payroll and it's developing books to tax?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yep. Yeah,
and it also means it's reliant on that API staying open. Yeah. If QuickBooks closes that API,
exactly,
your suite of tools is pointless. So
and
I think
we've seen
for their own protection in the future, they've got to have a bookkeeping software.
Yeah, I agree. And when you think back to your argument with Iris and CCH, they had it. They had Carbon and they had Twinfield, wasn't it, for CCH? Yeah. And at one point, they were a closed shop. Like Iris was not going to connect to any other software, and CCH was not going to connect to any other. But they've realised they've got to open that up and have that opportunity. So, yeah, it is one of those where the landscape's changed, unfortunately, and I think it is. I personally think BTC or BrightPay must be thinking, well, what can we bring to the table from a bookkeeping point of view?
They could buy ClearBooks or something. Is ClearBooks still around?
Yeah, ClearBooks. Yeah. Exactly. That's still there, isn't it?
Yeah.
I personally, Xero, give them £1, see what they say. I don't know if it's worth it. I'm joking, obviously, but yeah. I wouldn't pay £1, but yeah. Wonderful. So we had one more topic, didn't we? And apologies for going over. But yeah, last topic of the day was just to let everyone know that QuickBooks connect. I can't remember what the actual phrase is going to be. Is October the 20th. It's a online virtual event. Maybe there's going to be some new announcements. Maybe. If there is, we'll try and get something out sooner rather than later. Maybe do a live reaction on the day. We'll make sure that it's out there on social so people can understand and ping there. And we believe there's going to be some sort of physical event around February, March time, in line with next conference season. So hopefully maybe something gets announced there on that one. But with that, I think that's it. I think we've covered quite a bit today. Big thank you.
Shouting that Iris has got cash flow.
Yes, cash flow. Yeah. Did I say Carbon? I didn't. Did I say Carbon? Yeah. You're right.
Yeah. Iris's newest promoter.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Yes. Hello, Bev. How's it going? Yeah. Hopefully you're enjoying your thing there. So what we'll do then, we'll just finish it off here. So if you've got any questions, then what we'll do is we'll make sure we bring them into the next one because we haven't got time for them now. But if you are listening via podcast, don't forget to follow us on Facebook, and that way you'll know when our future live sessions are. We aim for the first Wednesday in a month, but who knows? Whenever we can bring that down for you. So that reminds me, Charlie, Johann, is there anything you want to promote? Charlie, do you want to go first? Any kind of how people can find you, that sort of thing?
Yes. So I have a group on Facebook for QuickBooks Online Pro Advisors. If you just go into Facebook, assuming you'll remember, and search for QBOA user group and join. And I always say this, but please do answer the 2 questions that it asks you, just so I know you are a pro advisor and an accountant, because the aim of this group is not to have end users. It's for accountants to talk to accountants. So it's more valuable for this community. It's not just users wanting to know how to create an expense in QuickBooks. And we do have some very, very good discussions on there. So QBOA user group.
Definitely, 100%. And please don't sit there explaining that you can complete people's. What is it?
Yes. Yeah, we kick a few people like that. People who join and then tell us that they can do their certification for them. We kick those people out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Too right. Johann, anything you want to push? You got anything coming up? Any videos we should be? Any LinkedIn socks you want to be pushing out there?
No, I'm at Accountex North next week. Looking forward to that. So I hope to see lots of you there. I'll be wandering around with George, one of my team, who is new to our team. He came to us in the last acquisition, and young guy, I'm going to expose him to the joys of accounting conferences. If that doesn't put him off, then I think he's got a career for ahead of him. But yeah, so looking forward to meeting everyone there, seeing the software providers again, and walking away with a suitcase full of t-shirts, socks, and mugs. And then there's just that one bit of news that Aaron's going to tell you about.
I thought you go for it. Go for it.
No, you carry on.
Okay. Yeah, great to announce that me and Johann are launching a brand new podcast coming each and every week to your ears. So keep an eye out on socials, especially on LinkedIn, because I know Johann's going to be pushing it on there as he normally does. But Ask the Accountant is launching next week with an asterisk on that one. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we get a pilot episode out there. We've got a trailer in the works as well. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that'll give you some insight of what we're going to be doing and how we're going to be pushing it. But yeah, we want it to be weekly information and give us some kind of insight of what's going on in the world of accountancy in that given week. And then we're going to be utilizing that as well to do a few more kind of bits outside of it as well. So we've got cool clients and accountant friends that we want to bring in and interview and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, we're looking forward to it, aren't we, Johann? So yeah, let's
live coverage of the after parties.
Yes, exactly. That's our plan.
Can't wait for that one.
And if anyone out there wants to sponsor us as a podcast going forward, then yeah.
If you'd like to sponsor Titsy, you're very welcome.
That's exactly it. So our first kind of, after we've done the pilot episode, our first probably bit of content will be how Accountex has treated us and what we learned from there. So yeah, look out for socials on that one. Each and every week, we're going to be trying to aim for a Wednesday. Did we agree? Something like that?
Yeah, Wednesday for the podcast. But
Wednesday for the podcast.
Live stream on a Monday morning.
Come
talk
join
about
us.
Day in the life, what we've done for the week, what our clients are up to, what's going on in the news. Meet some cool people that we know. Some of us have cool people we know. Aaron's mainly got the cool people that we know. But yeah, looking forward to having a weekly Monday morning podcast.
Looking forward to it. Yeah, really excited. Nothing changes for this though. QuickBooks Labs will still be once every month. We talk about the world of QuickBooks and other accounting software. So yeah, looking forward to it. So with that, I think that's everything. Just thank you guys for coming as always, bringing your knowledge and giving us an opportunity to talk about it over the allocated time, unfortunately. So hopefully we don't get too much trouble for that one. And go from there. Brilliant. So with that, it's a goodbye from me.
And a goodbye from me.
And a goodbye from me.
Excellent. Cheers, everyone. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.